For more analysis, we're joined from Beirut by Marcel Baloukji, a military expert, and by Iman Choueikh, a political researcher. A very warm welcome to the program. And we start off with Mr. Marcel. Despite Israeli violations of ceasefire terms, Amos Hochstein recently assured Lebanese officials that the Israeli occupation army would withdraw from southern Lebanon by January the 26th. Do you believe Israel will stick to its timeline, or is this another tactic to delay a full withdrawal?
Good afternoon to you and your viewers. For Israel, Hezbollah still threaten its north and the settlement. Hezbollah continue to send drones and missiles. As long as this threat is affecting Israel, Israel won't be withdrawing from Lebanon, despite the five-member committee and Hoxton's effort, as Israel's borders aren't secured till now, and therefore I'll expect the extension of the presence of Israel and a partial withdrawal from Lebanon, from the west and the east, and to leave 3 to 4, 5 areas as an operations zones in Lebanon, as in Jolan, around 15 kilometers. That witnesses intel groups, in particular in El Labuni and El Plat mountains, as these points are strategic of positioning and controlling the borders to make sure that Hezbollah is executing the resolution 1701 and dismantle the infrastructures. By 60 days isn't enough, so we'll extend this term of the truce before the withdrawal of Hezbollah and dismantle its military capabilities beyond the Lebanon. So the withdrawal of Israel won't be happening from throughout the Lebanese territories.
Ms. Choueikh, welcome. And given Hoxton's promise that the Israeli occupation forces will withdraw by the end of the 60-day period, what effect can the United States have on Israeli policy, and could Israel stay in Lebanon despite the American pledge?
Good evening for you and your guests and all the viewers. Actually, my opinion is against what your guest mentioned, because as we saw in the previous days, that there are massive pressures on the parties concerned in the war in Gaza, pressures to expedite the exchange deal, and there are really similar American pressures on all the parties concerned in the war in Lebanon. The United States wants to assure it's achieving an actual and a serious withdrawal of an actual and a serious withdrawal of the Israeli forces from all the southern villages, and that will assure the Lebanese that their southern villages are safe.
Ms. Choueikh, I'm very sorry to interrupt you in this context, but could you nail, please, what exactly are you against our other guest or Mr. Marcel, in your context, that you think that what he said is not okay?
Yeah, I think he mentioned that we will face the extension of the 60-day period. Yeah, for the truce. So this would be correct if Lebanon did not elect a new president
Exactly.
in Lebanon, and it did not enter a new political change, which is actually, in my opinion, it's the deepest change since the interdependence. And this change actually comply with the regional arrangement that the United States is trying to achieve in the Middle East. So, returning back to the withdrawal of Israeli forces from the southern villages, I think controversially, the United States is achieving also or pressuring also Hezbollah to remove all the weapons, all the military tools from the south in order to assure Israel that the northern borders are safe. So after this mutual commitment of both parties and the achievement of the ceasefire agreement based on the international resolutions, not only 7001 and also 1559 and 6080. So we will end to the appropriate achievement and implementation of the ceasefire agreement. Moreover, I think the commitment of Lebanon in removing all the weapons from all the Lebanese territory, and what the elected president, Lebanese President Joseph Aoun, said that all the military actions will be under the
Under the
state.
Lebanese
Happen
military control.
actually, we will assure that we will neutralize the privilege that Israel has obtained from the United States, that it can attack any target that it consider hostile as it's behaving now. So it starts with the next 20 days, actually remaining days of the period, the 60 days period, and to coincide with the new presidency of the
I think we're discussing
United
less
States
than 10 days.
president.
I think we're discussing less than 20 days now,
Uh,
today as we
yeah,
talk.
yeah, actually, but I think there are massive pressures from the United States to end all the conflicts in the Middle East in order to start do the deals that really the new president, the new American president, has the desire to do all those deals and end all the conflicts. Actually.
Mr. Balokji, how might the Lebanese army redeploy in southern Lebanon, and what steps should Lebanon take to ensure security on its border?
What is requested before the deployment of the Lebanese army and the UN forces for the places to be evacuated by Israel? Mr. Hawkiston should be affirmed by the guarantees given to Hezbollah because of the change that took place in Syria and the Al Julan that affected the infrastructure in the southern of Lebanon and undermine Hezbollah centers. What's requested from Mr. Hepton and the fourth member committee to give guarantees to start a partially withdrawal from Israeli forces and to remove the terminals of Hezbollah and to implement the resolution 1701 and go back to the north of Litani. And the Hezbollah wouldn't achieve the resolution in 55 57 before giving him the guarantee for the withdrawal from the south and to end the conflict of the 13 point with Israel. All these points that the the Lebanese army to start disarmament. And as the political vacuum following the defeat of Al Assad in Syria that affected the Hezbollah powers, therefore they have no more choices but they try to maneuver to execute the agreements to take more guarantees to dismantle the infrastructure in the southern of Litani and buy time in the north of the Litani.
Okay, Ms. Iman, after Lebanon's 18-month political deadlock, the election of Joseph Aoun as president has finally resolved the crisis, as of course you mentioned in your previous answer. What impact could this have on Lebanon's security situation and the broader conflict with Israel?
Well, actually, this was a big challenge for Lebanon, and Lebanon passed this. Excuse me, I'm receiving some calls.
It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah, actually, so it was a big challenge for Lebanon, and it passed this big challenge because there was an international and especially Arab back for Lebanon to achieve the presidency election, because Lebanon has been facing since 2019 the biggest crisis, economical crisis and political crisis in its history, noting that the Lebanese suffered a lot after the port explosion, after what happened regarding their deposits and so on. So actually after this, in my opinion, after electing a new president and specifically the name of Joseph Aoun, who has an international and American agreement and approval, I think the next challenge will be
and a strong military background as well.
Yes, sure. So the next step will be building or a formation, the government that will comply with all the titles that the inaugural speech mentioned, specifically regarding the weapons and illegal military actions in Lebanon. And as we heard, tomorrow will be the first day of parliamentary consultation regarding choosing a new prime minister. So if we achieve all these issues regarding constitutional life in Lebanon, this will ensure that the agreement, the ceasefire agreement, and all the international resolution will be implemented in the right way. Otherwise, we will face interventions either from the external parties or also we will still face some conflicts from the internal parties, especially the Shia DU and specifically Hezbollah, who started to accept the notion or the concept of the state, because for like 2 decades we were just controlling, or we were controlled by the Iranian decision, and now the Iranian influence has been declined. So it's a new phase in Lebanon. It's a new political phase, and this is linked to what's happening in the Middle East. And I think the United States is monitoring this very well. And the conclusion will be the force or the pressure on Israel to withdraw all its Israeli forces from the Lebanese southern, and to ensure that the war will not happen again or will be resumed again in the near future or after that.
Mr. Balakji, following the election of Joseph Aoun as Lebanon's new president, how do you see Israel adjusting to its policy towards Lebanon? Do you foresee any changes in Israeli military strategies in the region?
It is naturally that Mr. President Joseph Aoun was elected based on a roadmap, consensus to do internationally. Joseph Aoun cannot go in the process of reforms before having a roadmap laid down, as some blocks might hinder the work of the president, as it happened before with the previous President Michel. Accordingly, the international challenges, in particular with Hezbollah, there's no reconstruction, there is no finance, and there is no Israeli withdrawal before the 1559 resolution and the deployment of the Lebanese army. These challenges, according or based on the international resolution, would help the elect president to move forward to implement the roadmap that been agreed upon internationally. And it is clear with the air bridge to Israel and the Arab support to change the Middle East without Iran. And to do so, the Lebanese president should execute and complete the laid down roadmap in order to spread the peace and to go into a long-range truce with Israel and create a new Middle East, as well as the Saudi normalization with Israel and the Syrian scene, and to prevent the supply in Hezbollah. All these matters will ease the work of the president to create a proper place for Lebanon in the upcoming period, along with the different passes in the Middle East.
Ms. Iman, do you think Israel will shift its policy regarding Lebanon after the inauguration of Donald Trump, which we all await, of course, on the 20th of January, which comes 6 days before the ceasefire term ends?
I think, and according to the poll published 2 days ago, that if there will be a new rolling or a new government in Israel, a new election in Israel today, Benjamin Netanyahu will not win. So the approach today, regional or specifically the American approach today, is to elect moderate persons to control the government in Israel. So because this will be complying with the deals that Donald Trump wants to achieve in his presidency and in his term. So I think with all those pressures and what we've heard about the advancement of the negotiations between Hamas and Israel to end the war within days, this will maybe lead Benjamin Netanyahu, the Israeli prime minister, to take some steps in order to save himself, because we know after the next day after the war is finished in Gaza, he will face a lot of judiciary issues, and that will end them being in jail. So all the indications show that the new politics or the new region today is going to solve all the hot spots in.
Of course, Ms. Iman, after electing a new president, a Lebanese president, which is of course of very strong background, the tables will turn after Donald Trump becomes inaugurated as the president of the United States, and everything is going to change then. And of course, the stand of Lebanon now becomes much stronger than it used to be, and negotiations will be much more stronger, right?
Yes, sure. And after the end of the Iranian, Russian, or removing Syria from the Iranian-Russian axis, and also the decline of the Iranian power in the Middle East, and the independence, the real independence of the Lebanese decision, all those factors will ensure that the political life in Lebanon will be will go in the right way without intervention and with the Arab support from Egypt, from Saudi Arabia, and especially for the reconstitution of the state, the reconstitution of law, the separation of judiciary from politics, and also the rebuild process for what happened after the war. All these factors will draw the new political scene in Lebanon, unless some surprises happen. But this is
Hopefully, no surprises will happen and everything
it
will
has a
go on
very
track,
very
right? And of course, at the end, Ms. Iman Shweikh, we thank you very much and we congratulate, of course, Lebanese and Lebanon on, of course, for having a new president after a long-awaited one that will change, of course, everything in the policies of the ongoings in the Middle East. And at the end of this episode, I'd like to thank very much Dr. From Beirut, Marcel Belogji, and a military expert. Thank you very much for your insights, sir. And Ms. Iman Shweikh, a political researcher. Thank you very much for your valuable knowledge and insights.